Gosh, it's a gorgeous day. You know, as soon as the sun starts to shine, I want to leave all the work that's inside, and head on out to my garden to enjoy it. Now, today's a great day for you to join me because I've lined up some wonderful DIY projects that you can create to decorate your garden and your patio. It's going to add great personality and color. So come on, you're always home with Vicki Payne. My garden is really an expression of myself. I just love being outside. My guests will gladly tell you that they always dress casual and usually in cotton or linen anytime they visit my home from April until November because they know that's where they're going to find me, is out in my garden. Today we're going to start by doing some projects that will let you personalize a bare spot that you have in your garden, better known by some of you probably as garden art. We'll start out simple and we'll see where this project takes us today. You know, every flower bed needs a draw. You have flowers, greenery, but you always need a focal point. I love the way these paving stones catch your attention and inspire you to come on, step into the garden and decorate all around me. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. One of the great things about this little project is you can make it as little or as big as you want to, because after all, it is personalizing it just for your own garden. What will determine how big your paver stones are going to be is this, and that's the frame. Now, the frame is really easy to make. All you do is take some 1x2s and just cut them in the length that you want, and then I screwed mine together rather than nail it. It seems to be a little bit sturdier because you can reuse these over and over again. Now, if you don't want to mess with the wood part of it, you could even make these in a pizza box. But the key is don't move it around a lot because the box isn't very sturdy. You'll notice underneath my frame, I have a piece of plywood. That's so once I pour my cement in here, it acts as the base, and it also acts as the way that I can pick this up and set it over to dry, because it's going to have to set up for probably overnight would be my recommendation. Okay, so let's get started first of all by laying out our design. Now, I traced the inside of my frame just using a marker, so I know how much space I have to work with. You can create all different kinds of designs. You can use rocks in yours. You can even use these little terracotta flower pot saucers like this. You know, these cost 5 cents at the garden shop. And turned upside down, they make the perfect center for maybe a sun ray, or in our case, like a flower. A lot of fun you can add to them. If you want to break these down and make them smaller, you can also cut them with like a mosaic cutter, or just use a hammer, be sure you've got your safety glasses on, and chip it down to smaller size. There are lots of different kind of garden rocks. If you don't have any around your garden, you can pick them up at your garden center, and they come in little small bags. And I say get a variety of colors, something that's going to work well with your decor. I'm working with black and kind of gray and brown. I like to mix up all the colors. Now, for your cement, we're just using plain old Portland cement, and we've mixed it up according to the directions, and this is half of a large bag of cement that I have in here. So I'm going to take this and just start dipping it and putting it into my bucket. Now, it's a good idea, I'm not doing it today, but for you it's a good idea to remember, wear your rubber gloves. If you think you're real messy and you're going to get a lot of this on your hands, you want to be sure when you're working with cement that you protect them with the gloves. When I get ready to start putting the rocks in here, I'll slip them on. Okay, just keep putting the cement in. Any tool that you use to work with your cement, you need to remember to clean it up as soon as you get done. Just rinse it off with the water hose, but please don't rinse it off and let the runoff go down into your storm sewers. That's not a good idea. Okay. We're just going to keep putting some more of this in here. It takes a lot more than you think. Like I said, this is a half a bag of cement mixed up. And you want to overfill it a little bit. And then I'll show you how we're going to level it off in just a second. Once we get that much in, then we're going to slip on our gloves and start to work. Okay, I'm just taking a scrap piece of wood. This is the same thing that we used to make our frame out of. And I'm just going to work the cement down into this frame. Just squish it down in there, getting it all the way out to the edges with it. And then when you've got it all pretty level, just start working this across here. See how we're leveling that out? Go back over it a couple of times. I want to put a little bit more back in the corners. And if you get it too soupy, it'll just be running all over the place. I'm going to scoop up our extra that we have back here. And now, just take some time to work this around and level it off. Once you're happy with the level on it and you think you've got all your gaps filled up, one last pass, and there we are. We're ready to start decorating. Now I've laid my design out here so it gives me kind of an idea of where to start. So I'm going to take the flower pot and I'm going to put it, just eyeball it, don't get technical about it, and I'm going to squish it right down in there. Make sure that it goes all the way down in the cement. Then take your rocks and just start placing them right on around the centerpiece. Now, we're calling these paving stones, and if you really want to walk on these, then make sure all the elements that you put in are nice and flat to the surface and that they can be stepped on. You could decorate this by adding seashells to it, but not if you plan to walk on it because they would crush underneath your steps. Okay, now we're going to take some of the larger ones on an angle and we're going to turn them into the corners to decorate and have them standing up tall. If you're doing this style, you don't want to be walking on it. Just kind of angle them out like you have little arrows coming out of them. Now on the designs, if you want to do like 2, 3, 4 of these, go ahead and lay out your design so they're like continuations of your same design. That makes it kind of interesting as well. Okay, once this is all finished and you're happy with the design, all you need to do is just, if you can leave it where it is, perfect. If not, lift it by the board, set it out of the way, and let it dry until it's completely set up. And then you're going to be ready to find just the perfect spot out in your garden for your new paving stone. To protect your paving stones from damage, store them in the garage or the basement during extremely cold weather. There's more fun to create decorative projects coming up today on For Your Home. Every day I try to pay attention to how much water I use around my house and around my garden. Last summer I noticed that my containers were really demanding that they be watered all the time. Whenever I got ready to go out of town, I was asking my neighbors to come babysit not only my dog, but my plants. So this summer I decided that I would be a better citizen. I would use less water and ditch some of those water guzzling plants. You know the ones I'm talking about, those beautiful lime green sweet potato vines that just demand to be watered every time you turn around. Instead of planting those, I'm going to plant more succulents in my garden. Now succulents are just as much fun as they are durable. They all have their own little personalities and there's just a huge variety. A lot of the garden centers now are stocking more and more types for you to enjoy. They're very tolerant of dry conditions. Most of them come from the desert and that kind of climate, so it's perfect if you're trying to conserve water. Let's take a look at some of the succulents that I have for us to play with today. These are absolutely adorable. They'll really multiply fast, and by the summer they can easily fill up a whole pot. Now this is what's called black rose, and I think it's a beauty. This one, Irish bouquet, and we've got my favorites, hens and chickens right here. There's just tons and tons of them that you can use in your containers. The more you mix together, the more interesting it is. Now, we talked about these coming from dry areas, which means that the soil needs to be closer to what it is in their natural habitat. So I've got some good potting soil that already has some vermiculite in it, which is going to help lighten it up. And I just added some sand to it. And I'm just going to mix this together, and that will give me a much drier potting mix to work with. Now, containers. You want to get a container that is not too tall. Like this container right here, this would be too tall for our succulent gardens because you can't see into them. These guys don't get real tall, so you want to have lower, shallower containers for your planting. I like this one because it's nice and wide at the top. Now, taking these, if you'll look down, see how dry this is around the bottom? Go ahead and break that up a little bit and just nestle this larger one into the side. Now sometimes it's hard to tell how tall they're going to get or how wide. They're easy to transplant if you make a mistake, so don't worry about it. And just tuck this one in here. This is a great project for you to do like with your grandchildren or your kids because they can't really hurt these plants. If you plant them up something to take home to their own houses, then they can care for them. All they got to do is set them in a sunny windowsill if they don't have a garden space to work with. They're also great for kids to take into school. Now when you're planting them, you'll notice that we've got some different colors here. We're going to add this black rose right over in here, break up the soil a little bit on it, and tuck it down right into the side. If you wanted to, you could put a great rock right out into the middle of this, give it kind of some interest to it, and then as these plants start to grow, you can just pop that rock out and have more space for them to fill out. And they'll find their own areas. They'll start hanging over the sides, especially the little hens and chicks. They just keep multiplying down through the sides and over. You know how these got their names? That's because a lot of farmers' wives used to love to plant these around their back door where their hens and chickens were always out there. It was sort of their way of gardening and decorating their backyard. Even back then they were conserving water. Okay, how about some color? These are all different shades of green. That's wonderful. But if you want to work with a succulent and have a lot of great color as well, try one of these moss roses. These come in a whole variety of different colors. I like the ones that are mixed like this one is. They take very little water. They can take as much as 6 hours of full sun every day. For those types of plants, a tall container like this is beautiful because it'll hang over the sides. So if you're trying to break that water guzzling habit around your garden, think about going out and taking a look at all the wonderful succulents that are available at your garden center. Grab a flower pot, plant some, and enjoy how easy they are to take care of. If you're planning to take your family to the beach this summer, grab a bag to pick up those wonderful seashells because I've got a project that you can use them for and decorate your garden at the same time. Send me an email and a photo of your favorite outdoor project. I'd love to see it. I get to go to the beach every summer and I absolutely love it. We pick a different beach every year because I'm trying to see them all. Well, one of my favorite pastimes on the beach is to walk along and pick up seashells, obviously. Sooner or later you got to do something with those seashells. You buy or you pick them up at the beach or you buy them at the store, you bring them home. Don't just let them sit in your garage, get them out and use them. And that's what we're going to do on our project today. Now, I have a confession to make because my second favorite thing after going to the beach and picking up shells is going to estate sales. I found this great estate sale where this lady had been a real crafter and I wasn't really interested in the crafting supplies, but I struck gold out in a shed in the outdoors. She had boxes and boxes of these beautiful shells and they were all separated, labeled. I was in heaven. I bought all she had. This box, all of them, $5 a piece. How could you say no? We are going to create a shell decorated serving tray. Now this may look like a wall mirror to you and you can use it for that purpose if you want to, but for me it's going to be a serving tray. Now I got this for $10. It was a clearance at one of those discount home stores. The reason, it's broken right over here. That's not a problem to me because I'm just going to use a little bit of white tape right over that crack, and once I glue the shells on it, you won't ever be able to see it. It's going to be perfect. Okay, the thing you want to do when you first get started is lay out your design. So I took a little bit of brown paper and I just laid my mirror down on top of it. You can see the line around the outside, and I just drew around the outside of it. Then I measured the width of it, drew an inside line, so I knew how much space I had to decorate. In this case, it was about 3.5 inches. I started going through my shells and laying them out and separating them so I had all the same type for the outside row, and then I selected a different one for the inside row and this nice little ruffly one for that spot. Now I know I'm going to have to fill in some gaps from here to there, and here's something to think about. There will always be gaps between your shells. This one is already the perfect color for me. See how it's just kind of an off-white shade? If you were working with a black mirror or maybe a red one or blue or green, you would want to base coat it first and get it to a nice white color so that you don't have to worry about every little gap. Now when we get ready to glue your shells on here, this is not a perfectly smooth surface. It kind of bows and ebbs. So using just regular like white glue that's real thin, it'd be hard to work with. Instead, we're going to use this type of adhesive. And I think it's pretty super because it just pull a little trigger here and it's just going to come right out like caulk. And I'm just going to take one of my shells the same way. I'm going to work from this side over so I keep my design together. And I'm going to put this one down and see how that glue is just setting it right where I want it. I want it at an angle and let it hang over just a little bit. Take the next one, put that one in place, go to the next one and fill that in. If you don't have enough and it's not reaching up to grab the inside of the shell, just add a little bit more. Maybe not that much, but add a little bit more to it. And then I'm just gonna grab that one and move him over. There we go. Glue that down. We're just covering this. We're doing our outside roll first. Then once you get all the way around the outside, then we're going to come back in and we're going to put these little shells right into the middle of this. This is a great way to recycle an old frame that you might already have around the house that you can only get a couple of dollars for at a garage sale or give it away. This way you can recycle it, have some fun with it, and create something that you're really going to enjoy being out in your gallery or your garden. One of the things too that I want you to think about as you're doing this tray and you're moving it around, don't use a glue that dries instantly like a hot glue gun, because notice how I went back in and repositioned these shells as I went. You want something that gives you a little working time so that you can make adjustments that you need to make. After you get your frame all completely covered with your seashells, you might want to think about taking some really great elaborate pieces and maybe popping them like one on this side of the frame and one on that side of the frame, just kind of to accent it and show it off. After all, you've got all these great shells, use them all. Seashells are an easy way to bring sunshine into your home's decor for a natural, relaxed look. Use your imagination and create stunning displays and accents for the summer season. No matter what your friends tell you, or maybe what you have seen on the internet, you can't leave your Christmas lights up year-round. It's just not done. But you do want to have some great lighting for your patio, so I've got some projects here that are going to be a lot of fun to make, and you probably have everything you need to do this right at your own house. And let's go through the materials that we're going to need in order to be able to create this great little guy. Isn't that fun? It's got a little votive candle down in the bottom of it with some decorative jewels around it and a wire hanger. This little guy here is just perfect to tuck away in a tree. To do these, of course, we're going to need some type of a container. This is just a canning jar, and if you don't have any of those around your house, you can buy them at the supermarket. You can also use the little votive candles that you already have. Anything that has either a larger top on it than the bottom, so the wire has something to grip onto, or in this case, it has a little rim around the outside that makes it a perfect place for us to wrap our wire around. Those are our only requirements. The other thing to think about is you don't want the jar, the top of the jar, like a bottle perhaps, to be so small that you can't fit a little votive candle down inside of it. Those are our only requirements. Okay, we're going to need, of course, some wire to do this project, and I have 3 different kinds out here. I have a very lightweight 18 gauge wire, and then I have an aperture wire, and this is steel wire. Really, really inexpensive. Buy it at your home improvement store. It's a little sturdier, but I like using this because it is real durable outside and it's strong. So if the wind gets to blowing, it won't come undone. Now, to decorate ours with, I have some little glass nuggets. These are iridized, an arrangement of colors. Some glass beads are nice maybe to put on it. Just think about what you're using to decorate in your yard and have fun doing it. Let's get started with one of our little votives. And what we want to do with this is we want to just get it kind of started like that, and we're just going to wrap it. Once we make that wrap to there, then we're going to take some needle nose pliers and twist this. See how we did that? It's just twisted right around. There's no right or wrong about how to do this. Okay, we're going to add a little bead to it. Now, these are little wooden beads. Make sure that the beads that you want to use, that the hole in them is big enough to accommodate the wire you're working with. And we can just kind of have fun with this and curl it back so it's a little more decorative, and turn up the end. That way the bead is not going to come off of it. There we go. This end on this side, we're going to just simply turn it around, bring it over the top of our jar. See how we are right there? If you want this to be a handle like I've done on this little guy, then you're just going to bring this over, slip it right down through one of the wires here, and take your little needle nose pliers, bend it up, and just bend like a little loop in it again, and it'll catch on here, just like we have right here. See? But if you want to make these so that they can hang in the tree, just turn a nice little cute decorative loop in it like that. And then you've got a little votive candle that all you need to do is pop one of these little guys in, hang it off of a branch in the tree and light it, and it's perfect lighting for a little party. If you want to have some great fun and make a bigger candle, like we've got over here, you can put a taller candle in and support it with these little nuggets around the bottom. Remember, if you don't want to crack the jar, always put a little bit of water in the bottom of your candle holder before you light the candle. That way when it burns down, the water will put out the flame. Nice fun way to decorate your patio with things you already have around your house. We've been talking about all kinds of ways to decorate your garden, give it more color and more personality. But you know, the best thing you can do is to have healthy looking plants in your garden. Organic gardener Billy Stiles is here with some great advice. I asked Billy to take a walk through my garden with me today because I got some issues and I know he's got the solutions, right darling?
Well, absolutely. Vicki, what we got going on here is you're running your irrigation just a little bit too long.
See, I thought I was getting this grass was dying because it wasn't getting enough water.
Well, actually your pH here in this meter here is down to 5.5, should be 6.8. Way too much water. You can see the coloration of these dark spots. That's a hydrophobic soil. Now how you can correct this.
What do I do?
All right, what I want you to do is you're going to come through here and do a series of holes with a coring tool, which will actually make this look like Swiss cheese if you were looking under the ground. And then I'm going to have you put a granular on it, which is going to put biology back into the soil, let the little bugs start moving around. That's all natural, organic. They'll start moving around and create a more Swiss cheese that'll let the water drain out of here, and let's get a real good stand of grass. Also can spray this with a liquid that'll take this hydrophobic soil out, which makes it real easy. Of course, you can do it with a hose-in sprayer.
Okay, perfect. So we got good solutions here.
So we can fix this.
All right, okay. Come on with me on this stroll.
Okay.
Got a lot more problems.
Wow, you got a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah, we do, and it's not all of it's doing that good.
Well, actually, this is just way too crowded, and it happens all the time because we put plants in before they have time to mature. Either that rose bush has got to go or those elephant ears has got to go.
Well, it's going to be the rose bush because the elephant ears are mine and I love them, and anybody who struggles that hard to survive gets to stay.
They get to stay then. All right, great. And I know she got some roses over here. They really need to be moved too. You need more sunlight, and let's get them before we don't have this ground cover under them. You'll have a lot better growth. They need like, what, about 6 hours of sunlight a day? About 6 hours of sun. You want a good healthy soil in it. Make sure it's well drained. No irrigation spraying on them. That's going to promote black spot.
Okay, great. Come on over here and look at my favorite plant.
So you say this is your favorite bush. What is that?
It is. It's a gardenia.
Gardenia. Oh, wow.
I love gardenias. Ever since I saw a Billie Holiday movie, I said, I got to have gardenias. But my problem is that these are not looking good. I got this black junk on them and everything. Yeah, well, what's actually going on with them is you have white flies. Now the white fly excretes a honeydew and it falls down, it turns into sooty mold. And that's the black that you see all over your leaves, all over your handrail, and can be pretty hard to get off. Now you can treat this with a natural product with a cedar oil, and it'll help control these white flies, and then your sooty mold will disappear. Oh, it will? Yeah. Okay, so when I put that product on here, does it have to do like every time it rains, or does it stay for a while? You want to do it every time that it rains, but what you want to do is you want to get in here and make sure that you're getting the under canopy, underside of the leaves, all throughout the whole area. Just saturate it. And then do it maybe every 7 to 14 days for about a month. You should have them under control. Perfect. But you want to make sure you keep the plant healthy because this plant is weak. That's why it's being attacked. Now, Billy, this is one of my favorite trees. Why is that? Well, Chris and I put this in about 3 years ago, and it's a maple, but the leaves turn a beautiful apricot, almost the color of my blouse, and the leaves stay on it for a couple of months in the fall. You want to keep enjoying it? Of course I do. Well, we got to do some things because this tree has problems. Really, it looks so healthy. Well, that's the problem is we look at our plants from, an outward appearance without really inspecting them. This plant, as we can see, is actually loose in the ground. You can see the ground moving here. And it shouldn't do that after 3 years? After 3 years, absolutely not. So what we want to do is we want to come in here and we're going to create some coring holes. We're going to put a granular organic rooting hormone in here, and then we're going to spray it
with another product that'll help create a natural environment. In about 3 to 6 months, this tree is going to be attached.
I'm so glad you could join me out in the garden today. We had a great time, didn't we? I know that you found at least one, but maybe 4 or 5 projects that you want to try around your own house. Remember, if you don't have enough time to redo your whole landscape, just decorate a spot here or there and you'll feel like a master gardener. Now, I hope you'll join me next time when we'll have more wonderful things that you can create for your home.
If you would like additional information about today's guests or project ideas, please visit us on the web at foryourhome.com. We will do our best to help you out.